We have a new Joel Embiid injury update to get to. You're watching Philadelphia 76ers Now. I'm Chase Sr. Thanks so much for hanging out here with us. ESPN's Ramona Shelburne reporting that Joel Embiid is, quote, not anywhere close to returning. I have an issue with that report. I'll explain why coming up here in just a second. But first, make sure you subscribe to the channel. This is a free way for you to get free Sixers news, coverage, content, rumors, buzz, live shows, all that and a whole lot more. Stay updated on all things Sixers all the time with us right here on 76ers Now by Chat Sports. Here is Ramona Shelburne's report on Joel Embiid. Well, Joel Embiid's not anywhere close right now to coming back, but he is able to get on the court, do some light work. The hope that they have in Philly is that they can just stay in the mix for Joel Embiid to come back for the last week or so of the offseason, or of the season, and at least where he has a chance to get back some conditioning right before the NBA playoffs. So the Joel Embiid initial injury timeline, and we're always skeptical about that because this is a guy who's a 7-footer, long history of knee issues. When we talked to Dr. David Chow, he talked about how this same knee and the meniscus was already operated on, which added some complexities to the surgery for Joel Embiid. The initial timeline, 6 to 8 weeks. So the date of the surgery was the first week of February 6th to be exact. 6 weeks out is March 19th. And that's 6 days away. So almost a week away. 8 weeks out is April 2nd. The 76ers' last game of the regular season is going to be April 14th. The NBA play-in tournament, April 16th to the 19th. If the Sixers don't get their act together, they might have to play in that. And then the NBA playoffs begin in April 20th. That April 20th timeline is big here, because you think about a potential return date. Could it be April 7th? We're sitting here on March 13th right now. If the NBA playoffs don't begin until April 20th, a date that a lot of you are looking forward to for reasons outside of just basketball, that is a month and a week away from now. That gives Joel Embiid a little bit more of a runway to come back if the Sixers don't have to play in the NBA play-in tournament. The issue here is where Philadelphia might land in the Eastern Conference standings. With the way that they've been playing, Tobias Harris being awful, Tyrese Maxey missing some time before coming back last night in that blowout loss against the New York Knicks, but also the opponents on the schedule for Philadelphia here. Spurs, the 7th, and this is obviously looking ahead for when Embiid might be able to come back, right? Spurs, but the schedule over the next couple of weeks, it's a really difficult one, as we've documented here on the show. So let's say Embiid is able to come back at some point around here. He's able to play against some opponents where they're not that good, and you can ease him into the action to get that conditioning level back up, test that knee out a little bit to see where he is. April 7th against the Spurs on the road, April 9th against the Pistons, April 12th against the upstart Magic, and then April 14th against the Brooklyn Nets. And for Embiid, it all comes down to him just being healthy. I don't think that he can risk further injury here, nor do I think he should, when the Sixers have the most cap space in the NBA going into this offseason. I get it. You look at these numbers here, 35 points per game, 11 rebounds, 6 assists. It was great to see him adding passing to his arsenal here. 53.3% on his field goals, 37% from three-point range. If he kept playing, he was going to be the MVP. And you want those types of numbers, this type of player, that type of production in your lineup. And it's hard to get away from the fact, man, we could really not have Joel Embiid in the playoffs. It would suck in the moment. But imagine him re-injuring that knee, it being so serious, and then you have the most cap space in the NBA, and you can't land big-ticket free agents because you're not sure, and the free agents aren't sure if Embiid is even going to be able to play for the next season. Philly just needs to stay in the mix in the East. I don't like a first-round matchup against the Celtics, of course. A first-round matchup against the Bucks isn't necessarily ideal, but they can be had. I like how the Sixers match up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Joel Embiid has always dominated the New York Knicks. I don't worry about the Orlando Magic at all. That young team would crater in the pressure of the Wells Fargo Center. Indiana Pacers, my God, it's NFL free agency, and I'm in my NFL bag right now. Indiana Pacers are feisty. Tyrese Halliburton and Rick Carlisle, just a great player, really good coach. He's won an NBA championship. That team with their pace can cause some problems, especially with the conditioning concerns with Joel Embiid, but you should be able to beat them. But right now, you're in this danger zone here where you might have to be in that NBA play-in tournament. And you might have to play a Miami Heat team. I'm not worried about the Bulls or the Hawks in the play-in tournament. I am worried about the Miami Heat, though. The 76ers, it's been ugly. It's been rough. And it's unfortunate because, remember, it doesn't feel like that long ago when we were talking about how fun this Sixers team was to watch with Embiid, with Tyrese Maxey blowing up, and shooters around him. But without him, it has been dreadful basketball to watch, especially when they failed to eclipse 80 points in back-to-back games against the Knicks. 76ers 10-21 without Joel Embiid. Tough going, tough sledding. Will Embiid return before the playoffs? Why for yes and for no? I'm going to continue to be glass half full and optimistic, but starting to get a little bit hairy. Coming up next, let's talk about how the deadline additions have performed. Buddy Hield basically benched from the starting lineup. Let's get into that here in just a moment. First, today's show is sponsored by Factor. Get 50% off when you use the code SixersChat50. And let me ask you this. Do you want meals that are already chef-crafted, already made, that are delivered straight to your door, and then all you have to do is put them in the microwave, and in the process, you're able to save time with not having to go grocery shopping? You don't have to do meal prepping, cooking, or the cleaning up. And you can get delicious meals with Factor. Veggie Plus, protein, keto, breakfast, lunch, dinner, regular meals like this, but also smoothies as well. 50% off is a fantastic deal. Take advantage of it by going to factormeals.com/SixersChat50. You pick your pre-made meals on their site. Everything is prepped and cooked to perfection. You heat them up and you enjoy them. You save time, you save money. That's a pretty dang good 1-2-3 punch. How have Hield and Cam Payne performed? Right away, Buddy Hield, he was cooking. The flamethrower, it was on point from distance. And you look at his overall numbers with the Sixers in 15 games played since the deadline, 14.5 points per game. 42.5% from the floor. Classic Morey ball player where he shoots almost all of his shots from deep, but we've talked about this on the show. His creating skills are a lot better than what he's been given credit for. Still doesn't play all that much defense. And while he got off to a really hot start, though, the numbers have started to go downhill just a little bit for Buddy Hield, and then Nick Nurse took him out of the lineup, and he was a reserve instead of being in that starting five. With Hield, I think the Sixers made this trade in hopes that Joel Embiid would be back before the end of the regular season. And he's a great player to put alongside Joel Embiid because Embiid draws the double teams. He's been better at passing out of those double teams. That's something that he really struggled with early in his career. The game is just moving fast in that regard. Now it started to slow down a little bit. And when Embiid is getting double teamed, and then you also have Tyrese Maxey who can create off the dribble off those double teams, and then you have Buddy Hield who's left vacant, he's going to be able to get a lot of looks if or when he plays with Joel Embiid. Obviously, the question with Hield and the question with Embiid coming back and DeAnthony Melton, what's that starting five going to be? And will Hield start in the playoffs, or is he that option to come in off the pine and knock down some triples? Here's what Buddy Hield had to say about coming off the bench. Nick told me, and it's not starting all the time. Once I go there and get quality minutes and help this team win, that's all that matters. I came in, played my role. I know what I'm here to do, and I did it. That was on Sunday, and it was fun. So it's not about starting or coming off the bench. I think everybody has done that since I came here. So whatever he wants, we go with, and we trust whatever decision he makes. Good mentality. Good quotes there from Buddy Hield. Now, what do the Sixers do? Do they start Kelly Oubre? Because not long ago we were saying it's probably best for him to come in off the bench because he's probably better suited to come in off the bench. But he's been playing really, really good basketball over the last couple of games. Toward the end of that game on Sunday at Madison Square Garden, I mean, the Sixers gave him the keys, and he was creating for himself and others. He had that really good kick out on the 3 to Paul Reed, and then he drove after a little shake and bake, dumped it down to B-ball Paul down low for that layup off the glass, reverse style. So that's an option. We know that D'Anthony Melton is an option. The back injuries obviously have been a problem for him this year, causing him to miss a lot of time, and he was the starter when the Sixers were at full strength, and that was a pretty solid squad. So pick a starter here. Hield, Oubre, Melton. Who would you rather see start for Philadelphia here, especially when Joel Embiid comes back? As for Cam Payne, shooting numbers, not good. 39.3% from the floor, 31% from three-point range, but 10.5 points per game, 3+ assists. I'm not sure if Cam Payne is going to play over Kyle Lowry, who, because of his experience at the NBA level, how smart he is as a player, that clutch 3 against the Knicks from way downtown silenced the crowd at Madison Square Garden down the stretch in the waning moments of that basketball game. He just has this ability to lead, to playmake, to calm everything down when things are starting to get a little bit wonky. And that's when that 3 came, when the Sixers missed some shots, didn't execute, and then the Knicks start to close that gap a little bit. What does Lowry do? Left wing, wing triple. We'll see on Tuesday at the Wells Fargo Center. His numbers with the Sixers here, almost 8 points per, 5.5 assists, 41% from the field, and 37.1% from 3. These are quality numbers for a backup point guard here after Tyrese Maxey, and him and Maxey can play with one another. The big thing here, much more efficient than a player like Cam Payne. Pick a point guard. I don't think it's close here. Hometown kid, Kyle Lowry, also playing well, much more efficient. I'm typing my KL down in the comment section here. Don't forget to subscribe. It's a very busy week for us here at Chat Sports for NFL free agency because producer Chip and I do cover the National Football League as well. So maybe not as much content as a normal week, but we'll be back in the saddle once everything dies down on the football front.